So I have finally seen The Matrix Resurrections, and I must say that I'm really disappointed. It's a film that has some great ideas and concepts going for it, but when it comes to its execution and its highly bash you over the head meta approach, it left me asking, what was the point of this new entry? In this video, I'm going to be giving you my spoiler-free review for The Matrix Resurrections, discussing why I didn't exactly love this new film, but I will try to balance it out with some positives that I took away from it too. Before I get into it though, if you want to see more videos on The Matrix Resurrections, then don't forget to support this video by giving it a like rating, subscribing to the channel, and turning on your notifications. Also, feel free to check me out on Twitter, Facebook, Reddit, and Instagram at Cortex Videos, which is all linked in the description below. But without further ado, let's dive into my spoiler-free review for The Matrix Resurrections. So nearly 20 years since the last Matrix film released, we have been plugged back into the franchise with The Matrix Resurrections. The original film had groundbreaking filmmaking with its technology and techniques, aided by introducing mainstream movie-going audiences into concepts they hadn't seen tackled previously in a large-scale R-rated action film. The traditional action film was renowned as being quite conventional and quick cut, but while The Matrix did give us entertaining fast action, it also pushed forward a new generation of filmmaking through the way it was filmed, with longer takes and higher concepts that we don't really associate with this kind of feature. We got a film which reveals that the humans are more machine-like than they think, that the machines have human qualities as well, and there's also the choice presented between fate and free will, perfectly symbolised with the red and blue pill sequence. It primarily explored the inner workings between the body, brain and mind, and how that connection can all change when the world turns out to be an illusion. While the sequels didn't quite reach the heights of the original film, I did like everything they were going for, and the unlimited depth that this on-screen world could bring was fully on display through memorable sequences in both of those subsequent films. But it was further the love story of Neo and Trinity that was at the heart of this groundbreaking series. And now with The Matrix 4, we get a film that aimed at tapping into more of that love, but it ends up being a film that doesn't fully capitalise on this approach, nor even reach the mark of the sequels. It's one which lacks creativity, a film directing you at the past and becoming overly meta in a laughably bad way. Lana Wachowski has returned to the franchise with The Matrix Resurrections, a film that for sure is hugely ambitious when it comes to the world of rogue problems, slow motion, kung fu action, and sci-fi exploration. Its philosophical ideas are all still there, but its main themes get lost under bad filmmaking, scriptwriting, and storytelling, ultimately becoming a picture that, unlike the previous entries, is not very rewatchable. It must be said that the Wachowskis are very creative, and you can tell that Lana, in the case of this new film, wants to make something entirely different. The original Matrix and some of their other work is extremely ambitious in the ideas they present, and they want to ever so cleanly merge the line between blockbuster and art. But the inspiration and dreams that one can have don't always equal to something that is stable or watchable. This is the case of Resurrections, where we get a good sense that the filmmaker is trying to say something about the landscape of films and the plethora of reboots, sequels, and controlling studios. But when it comes to diverting that into a new idea, the fresh direction doesn't get the justice it could have gotten. Sure, there's a real sharpness to the film that does set it apart from other franchise relaunches, but it becomes so on the nose that it almost threatens to take you out with it. Everyone is going to mention this in their review too, but the film is so meta. Meta in a way that it conveys a filmmaker's frustrations with Hollywood studios and corporations, in the sense that they keep putting out the same product on loops, even when it's titled as something supposedly new. There's an early scene in the film which literally involves Thomas Anderson being brought into an office and told that Warner Brothers, the company behind the Matrix films, as well as his Matrix video games in this film, wants a sequel, along with that there are virtually no other ways for storytelling to exist now. Instantly, you get a sense of the irritation when it comes to reboots and sequels, and it only gets deeper from here. I do get this, and as a fan of film, I also feel this frustration, and it's something that I've not particularly loved about the direction of the industry. But here, Lana is stuck in her own version of the Matrix. She cannot escape that structure, and ultimately, the film just feels so un-Matrix in doing so, almost fan-created at times, that it leads me right back to the fantastic original set of films. In The Matrix Resurrections, just as the title indicates, the old is used as the new. The plot involves a soldier named Bugs, played by Jessica Henwick, who is already freed from the Matrix, noticing some old code repeating itself. Morpheus is also back, but this time portrayed by Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, and a new version of that same character. We discover that Thomas Anderson, played by Keanu Reeves, is alive and living a tired existence inside the Matrix, and it's from here where things go into the extreme meta and self-awareness take. He is a game designer who created a trilogy of massively popular games called The Matrix, and he starts to see things that relate to his past, don't add up, or lead him right back down the rabbit hole. He sees Trinity, played by Carrie-Anne Moss, now called Tiffany, at a local coffee shop, and the two seem to have a connection, but he can't quite place it. And like those original films, he senses that something with his life is wrong, leading him to come in contact with a therapist, Neil Patrick Harris's analyst, who helps him not go completely crazy. And we soon learn that Tom's boss at the gaming company goes by the name Smith, played by Jonathan Groff, which is of course Neo's nemesis, played by Hugo Weaving in the original films. It's not long before Morpheus shows up and he gets sucked back into the now ancient battle between human and machine, but as you could probably already guess, the real world has changed quite a bit since we saw Zion in the past. From what I gather, Resurrections is the director's attempt to deconstruct the whole concept of what audiences expect from blockbuster films and what they are. It's saying that now, people are comfortable in the Matrix, and the freedom of the real world doesn't excite them as much. But this makes the original idea of freeing minds sort of pointless, reversing what we really loved the Matrix for. It is mind-blowing, an interesting premise, but like I was saying, it just feels unnecessary in the grander scale of the Matrix franchise. But not only are its ideas not fully executed or realised, it's quite a standard action movie that doesn't really do anything unique or memorable. This is a massive issue because in a Matrix film, we don't get much action, and the action we do get is badly filmed, has no fluidity, and appears quite traditional. I never thought this would be the case going into it, and it's almost as if these new action scenes weren't great, and they tried to film multiple moments of slow-mo and bullet time to make us think, oh well, that's cool. But that's the problem, it's not. It's quite stagnant and needs much more life added to it. There was one moment though which involved lots of bodies falling from buildings, and that was pretty epic, but apart from that and a few moments of kung fu fun, I'm shocked to say that I was extremely underwhelmed by the action in a Matrix film. And alongside the action, this movie is clearly trying to express its love to previous installments, relying on way too much flashbacks to the older movies in the middle of new scenes, both dialogue based and action based. It's weird because Lana does to some degree approach characters like Neo and Trinity with all the love you expect, but the structure of this movie, its storytelling and overly nostalgic base do not help the evolution of these characters or even the new ones. They also muddle the tone of the film completely. Interestingly, I said a month back that I thought this film would be about a response to nostalgia, and while it did turn out to be just that, it became this in all the wrong ways. But that was my spoiler-free review for The Matrix Resurrections. As entertainment and art, this new Matrix film falls extremely short, with very little moments leaving you impressed when it comes to its previously innovative visuals, new characters, or storytelling direction. It feels like an unnecessary next step that tries to badly justify why it's necessary. The one thing I can say is that because it doesn't take itself too seriously, knowing this, you could come out of Resurrections not really wanting it to be anything more than what it was. You may like the meta focus because of this, especially in the first act, and overall, it's going to be a very divisive movie for all of these listed reasons. But for me personally, when it comes to a film with the Matrix title, one that should personify innovative action, visuals, and themes that tap into what we all fear today, it made me wonder what direction they wanted to take here. There was nothing innovative nor particularly standout about this, other than the fact that they could have crafted a much better story out of the intriguing concepts on display. Instead, we get a Matrix film with lacking fight scenes, cool references to the past movies, but adding nothing new, and a film that was very unoriginal. The CGI also lacked in certain areas, and it felt like they were hiding more action because it didn't reach the level they wanted it to. While Jessica Henwick's Bugs and Neil Patrick Harris's Analyst were fine new additions, this latest film didn't really add any great new characters or arcs that felt a pleasure to see unfold. But like I've been suggesting, there are good ideas here, ones that are almost too big for a blockbuster film to confront, and maybe with some more expansion on these very concepts, we may have gotten a stellar revisit to a film series with unlimited opportunities. But this potential is equalled with big expectations, and The Matrix Resurrections is a huge disappointment when it comes to what it could have achieved. I'm giving The Matrix Resurrections a rating of 6 out of 10. But to those who have already seen the film, what do you think of The Matrix 4, and do you agree that it's hugely disappointing as a new entry in this classic franchise? Again, it's all subjective, and I appreciate a range of reaction and reviews, so let me know down below in the comments section what you personally thought towards the film, alongside things that stood out with your first impressions. For more videos surrounding The Matrix and upcoming releases, then subscribe to the channel and turn on your notifications. Also, if you enjoyed this video, remember to leave a like rating and follow me on social media via the links in the description. But anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed it. I've been Cortex, and as always, make some noise.